As you all know that there has been a representation submitted by the Confederation of Service Association of Arunachal Pradesh, Cosaap, wherein following demands have been submitted as per the recommendations of the 7th Pay Commission. The first one is the house rent allowance, then tough location allowance, second non-practicing allowance for doctors, new TADA rules, immediate restoration of all India medical attendance rules, transport allowance, non-teaching allowance for teachers, then all allowances for all categories of nurses, and then etc. 28th of August 2018, this representation was submitted to the government. And on 27th of September 2018, the cabinet took up this demand as one of the agenda items, and the entire thing was discussed in great detail. Our learned Development Commissioner Finance made a very detailed presentation on the financial aspects, the financial involvement of all these allowances if paid to the employees. Now let me first of all indicate the resolve, the commitment of the government under our Honorable Chief Minister and Sri Pema Khanduji and our Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Sri Chona Menji. The most important point is it is pro-people and even pro-employees. As a result of which, several demands which were hanging fire, which were pending for long, were resolved during this regime of 2 years. I can give you some example like the enhancement of the retirement age from 58 to 60 years. That was hanging fire since 1998 when others got it. The government of India declared it. But after 20 years, even though this has been a demand of the Cosaap right from the very beginning, but after 20 years, this government ultimately said that okay, this demand will be implemented, and from 1st of January 2018 this has been implemented. Despite, I underline, despite resistance from various quarters like APSU, like other students' union. Even then, because it was in the interest of the employees that this was implemented. Now 7th CPC recommendations regarding the pay scales. It's a fact, well-known fact, that the pay scales of the 7th CPC have not been implemented by most of the states in the country, and more so by the northeastern states, except maybe Sikkim. And I have been told that apart from Sikkim, I think no state has implemented this. Now the question is, despite the fact that there is a very great strain on the financial resources, even then the 7th CPC pay scales were implemented with effect from 1/1/2016 by this government. There was a huge financial implication because there was about 22% to 24% rise in the pay structure of every employee, which of course consequently led to a huge financial burden on the exchequer. But even then, because I stated in the beginning that the resolve of the government is to be pro-employees, therefore it was decided that despite that, the government shall implement the 7 CPC's pay scales. Thereafter, let me tell you that there is also release of the DA. 9% DA at present has been released by the Government of India. And let me tell you that 7% has already been released by the government of Arunachal Pradesh, and even 2% is going to be released. It has been just announced, so it is under process. Initially, the procedure was that for any DA increase, the proposal was submitted to the cabinet. The cabinet, again realizing that it has some, you see, kind of a time lapse, now has decided that it can be done at the department level without going to the cabinet. Again, pro-employees, so that there is no time lag. As a result of which, this 2% is also being processed and will be released very soon. You see, if you see the contingency employees, in 2016, in the month of January, they were getting about 4,500 rupees only. Now they are getting 8,000 rupees. Over a period of about 2.5 years, that has been increased to almost, not double, but at least 75 to 80% increase. From 4,500 to 8,000. Again, there is a burden on the exchequer, but even then, realizing the problems being faced by the contingent employees, because they are belonging to the lower class, the government has always stood with them and increased this wages to a very great extent over a period of 2.5 years. Bonus was never sanctioned, but in 2017-18, rupees 2,000 was also sanctioned as bonus. Again, the government thought that because the employees are doing a good job, maybe, so therefore it was again sanctioned. Implementation of HRA for the state government employees with effect from 2012. That has also been done. And let me tell you that after all this, which has a very great financial impact, the government also thought that there was some kind of resentment maybe among the employees because of stagnation which was also happening at various levels. So for the first time in the history, you can go and check the history, in respect of all the secretarial cadre employees, there was a large increase in number of the posts to ensure that there is no stagnation and to give them assured career progression. As a result of which, you find many people have been promoted, many officials have been promoted to the second scale, to their higher scale. Similarly, even in the APSCS cadre, this has been done, and so many administrative units were created by the previous governments, of course, for taking the administration and the government to the doorsteps of the people, but corresponding increase in the posts were never done. Only this government, realizing this, have created about 60 number of posts even in the APCS cadre, and as a result of which now we have placed our requirement to the APPSC, and they are going to recruit, I think, maximum number of APCS officers at the entry scale this time. And then the dearth and the scarcity of the COs, the circle officers, will be removed completely. Otherwise, even now, despite the directions of the Election Commission of India, we are not in a position to place the circle officers in each and every circle because of the scarcity of the circle officers right now in the APCS cadre. So, one, the pay scales. Secondly, their career progression. Every time, whenever they have come, their voice has been listened. Their voice has been heard. But it is a matter of great concern that every time when the Cosaap has come, they have always threatened to go on pen down strike, and I remember that they have also gone on pen down strike in the past, in the last 2 years also, which is a great matter of concern. You see, the most important mandate of the government is to provide a free, fair and an efficient administration. And for this, they have also provided some kind of a free and peaceful atmosphere, as a result of which there has been a sustained effort and planning for tackling the strikes, the bunds which were taking place at the drop of the hat. When I joined in 2014, then, in fact, almost every month or every maybe fortnight, there was a strike, there was a band call. And I still remember that my driver, he said that I'll not go to the office because the window glass or something that will be broken. Even then I went to the office, but it was with great reluctance that the driver drove me to the office. And that was not once, but several times I had to face. And it was also thought that it is not possible, it is impossible, next to impossible in fact, that to somehow put an end to this Bandh culture. But I can say with great humility that with all the resources, with everything at the command of the government, the first thing, of course, which the Honorable Chief Minister did was to give a clarion call of Team Arunachal, and at the same time also say that anything which is not in the interest of the government, not in the interest of people, shall not be tolerated. And therefore, the first and foremost resolve of the government should be to put an end to this Bandh culture. And let me tell you, the result is there for all of you to see. For the last 2 years, not even a single Bandh has happened. And people are living in peace. There is total, perfect law and order and peace there, in the society. At least one is not afraid of a Bandh, wherein you see poor people and those vegetable vendors and all those, they were not allowed to sell their vegetables, and it was having a huge impact on the, and that has been now done away with. There has been a total Bandh on the Bandh culture. This is one aspect, but somehow or the other, you see, the corresponding part, if the government employees are also resorting to that kind of a culture, because if there is a strike and Bandh called by associations, then at least our people, for whom the government has done so much, without caring even for the financial drain on the financial resources, always thought, the government always has taken into consideration that, okay, the employees will at least not resort to this kind of agitational or violent kind of a thing. Pen down strike means what? You are coming to the office, you are signing the register, attendance register, and you are not working. You can't make a mockery of the system. You can't take the government to a right. You can't hold government to ransom. And this is not what, have you seen the demands? I hope all of you must have seen as to what the Cosaap has stated. Number one, initially they will do this pen down strike for 2 days on 11th, 12th, and then on 4 days from 23rd to 26th, and then indefinite from 8th November 2018. Now, my dear friends, if this is democratic, then I think we'll have to change the definition of democratic. By no stretch of imagination, it can be called some way, I mean to say this is a democratic way of protest or democratic way of something, doing something. This is absolutely undemocratic. It's an agitational kind of a thing, wherein you are actually trying to blackmail and hold the government to ransom. And every time, let me tell you, for the last 2 years, I have also seen, as Principal Secretary, Personnel and AR, and also as Chief Secretary, I'm now going to complete about a year on 26th of October. Let me tell you that every time they have come, they have never come with clean hands. They have, every time they have threatened that we will go down for this pen down strike. This is not the way. If the government is quiet, if the government is agreeing to whatever you are saying, this does not mean that the government is weak. Right now, they must have thought that because the elections are round the corner, that they can get whatever they want. And that's the reason this sudden demand, and that too flurry of demands, which will have a financial impact, which I have been also given, which I must tell you, which has an impact of about more than I have been told 380 crores. 380 crores. Now, gentlemen, where I also explain to them every time the cabinet, like on in the month of August, they submitted the representation. On 27th of September, there was detailed deliberations for about more than an hour. 1.5 hours. It was discussed in the cabinet, and the cabinet thought, okay, they are our people only, so let us give them something, and accordingly a decision was taken, which I will read. The cabinet agreed to the implementation of travelling allowance (TADA) as per 7th CPC rates with effect from 1/11/2018, and as regards tough location allowance, the department was asked to revisit the classification of difficult areas of the state and to bring it before the next cabinet meeting. Now, even the tough area allowance which they are asking, my dear friends, if anybody is staying in his own home district, can it be declared as tough? It's a food for thought. Please, analyze it, and I leave it to you. Nowhere in India, if you are staying in your home district, can you get the tough area allowance? But here, it is cutting across, whether you are in your home district, whether you are in Itanagar, whether you are anywhere, you will get this tough area allowance. And now, this tough area allowance, of course, has been increased. There is more than double jump in that by the Government of India. But the Government of India also knows that tough area means tough area. If an officer is actually functioning in a tough area, that this tough area allowance should be given. It cannot be given across the board. But the demand is that you give across the board. About 5,400 or something, 5,000. It's about more than 5,000 rupees. Everybody will get that amount. Now, this is, which has got an impact of more than 120 crores. Can, the financial burden be borne by the exchequer? Nobody is, looking at it. No employee, I will not take the names of the employees, all the employees, because I know that most of them are with us. Only few of them who are taking them for a ride, who think that they can take government for a ride, are indulging in this kind of agitational, movement or agitational kind of a thing. And therefore, let me tell you that the government again said, even then, the cabinet said, okay, you revisit this. The DCF was asked to have a total, the complete analysis, and then come back to the cabinet. If the demand is genuine, especially in the tough areas, it should be given. But it could not have been given without this analysis. As a result of which, it was stated that, okay, you have an analysis and then come back. But the Cosaap did not, they are more than active. On 4th of October, after about a week's time, they submitted their next representation and again reiterated that, okay, if I mean to say all the demands are not met, we will go on pen down strike, and they have given this 11th, 12th, 23rd, 26th an indefinite strike. Even though the Honorable Chief Minister was very hard pressed for time, he had to go actually somewhere outside a state also. He cancelled his program and he said, no, this now that they have again come out with this kind of a thing, let us first discuss in the cabinet. And an emergency cabinet meeting was called on the 8th of this month, October. Today is only 10th, that is day before yesterday. The first item in the agenda which was taken up was the Cosaap's representation. Again, our learned Development Commissioner of Finance, who was there in Election Commission of India's meeting and had a meeting on the 8th, was called specifically for making this presentation, and he took special permission from the Election Commission of India and came. So this is the resolve of the government. This is the importance which is being attached to this kind of, I mean, even the representation which I think is not maybe valid, which is totally, I mean to say, beyond the scope of the government, keeping in view the financial envelope which we have. So even then, it was discussed for more than 2.5 hours on 8th. And let me tell you, maybe I may not, I should not have, I mean to say, divulged, but let me tell you, the Honorable Chief Minister requested each and every member of the cabinet to speak on this aspect. And each and every member spoke. The detailed presentation which was made by the Development Commission of Finance, of course, was taken into consideration. Now let me tell you, friends, with great, I mean to say, pains, if you go to a school, you will not find desks, chairs, you will not find fans, you will not find so many things. The gaps in the infrastructure, the basic infrastructural facilities, let me tell you, it requires about 15,000 crores, more than 15,000 crores to fill up these gaps. From where this money will come? They are our children, but we are not bothered about them. I told them that don't you think that this money should be spent there? They are our children. Why should we not give them the best of education? Everybody is saying, from where will the money come? Somebody will have to not sacrifice. But if your stomach is full, at least try and give this money, I mean to say, divert this money towards meeting the basic infrastructural needs in the education sector. Similarly in health, if you see PHCs, CHCs, all these, I mean to say, buildings, as you all know, they are, I mean to say, 50 years old. They are all in dilapidated condition. They are to be restructured. Their new structures have to come up, but we do not have money. We do not have funds. So therefore, we are continuing with that, giving the basic, I mean to say, health and education services there itself, and with great pains. I am telling you that this cannot be tolerated, come what may. If I have the money, I will, I mean to say, definitely propose for going into creating the basic necessary infrastructure in education and health, rather than, I mean to say, giving them to the employees. Let me tell you, this is an emotional issue now, not only for me, not for my friends, but for the government as well. This cannot be tolerated, should not be tolerated by any means. And therefore, despite this being, I mean, presented to them and also to the cabinet was also, everybody was emotional, come what may. I mean, the election is round the corner. So what? There is a political will. The Honorable Chief Minister stated that if they don't accept, that is there in the cabinet meeting, I mean, say this minutes of the meeting, if they do not accept, then take the, I mean, say all action as per law against them, because this cannot be tolerated. Every time we just cannot be taken for a ride. And this is an unanimous decision of the cabinet, which has been recorded in the minutes. And ultimately, I called them on 8th itself. There were a series of meetings lined up for me. In fact, the NEC meeting, which was also scheduled, I had to cancel that NEC meeting, which is also very important for us. You know why? Because to accommodate our Cosaap people. Because they are more important now. They are the most important for us. And therefore, in the evening, the meeting started and it went on for about 3 hours. DCF was there, our Commissioner PWD was there, and also our Secretary RWD was there, Secretary IT was there, Secretary AR was there, Commissioner Power was there, everybody was there, and they had also come in quite a huge number. Ultimately, all of us spoke and gave them the bare details, actual figures, the actual, you see, the situation in which we are in, and requested with folded hands that please, as a member of Team Arunachal, don't ask something which is beyond the financial purview of the government. But even then, because you people have pushed the government to a corner, that the government has decided to give you something. And let me tell you that it was decided that today we have two kinds of places. One is hard area and this other is soft area. Hard area we have only, maybe I mean to say Anini, Anjao and those, some of these areas. Otherwise everything is soft. Soft meaning 70% of the areas are in soft and maybe about 25 to 30% areas are in hard. So there is a difference in the this tough area allowance which they are getting. So it was decided that okay, instead of increasing it by maybe 3,000 or 2,500, that is 5,400, because there was an increase of about 2,000, 3,000 and maybe more than some places it was more than 4,000 also. So it was decided that across the board in the hard areas the government will pay 1,000 rupees more, and in the soft areas the government will pay 500 rupees more. And secondly, the TADA, of course, it was already decided that it will be given as per the 7th Pay Commission's recommendations in the cabinet meeting which was held on 27th itself. Thirdly, even for the house rent allowance, it was also deliberated in detail, and it was thought that okay, you see here that nobody is paying income tax. So 30%, 20% to 30% extra money, of course, everybody is getting. But that is one thing, because you are in your house, basically 80%, 90%, I mean to say you are in your state, home state, and not paying income tax as per the provisions of the Government of India's rules and all that, no problems. But at the same time, you are also getting HRA at the previous rate, which is there, I mean to say in the 6th CPC recommendations. Now in the 7th CPC recommendations, because the basic pay has gone up by more than twice, and therefore the percentage which they have fixed, of course, I mean say it has a huge impact again on the government exchequer. So because also the government is, I have again and again said that government is pro-poor, and it is actually concentrating on the person who is there last in the queue, that it was decided that okay, Group C officials, maybe I mean to say they are getting less amount, so they may be firstly getting the this house rent allowance as per the recommendation of the 7th Pay Commission, and this was decided by the cabinet that okay, A and B officers and officials, because they are getting more money, so obviously this particular recommendation of the 7th Pay Commission shall not be implemented in respect of A and B employees, but in respect of Group C employees it will be implemented in toto. And even for A and B, let me clarify, the house rent allowance shall be paid on the basis of the 6th Pay Commission recommendation. That is being paid, and that shall be paid even in future and today also. So I told them that these three, which have an impact of about 90 crores or maybe 100 crores, 80 to 100 crores, that is what was told to me by the Finance Commissioner. So the government thought, okay, we will bear this kind of burden, because They are, I mean, it's again and again coming to us. So therefore, we'll give it. This is the maximum which we can give. And Secretary IT, who was also sitting as Secretary to Honorable CM, stated in the end that the Honorable CM has actually requested all of you that please take this, because this is the maximum which the government can give, keeping in view the financial, I mean to say, the position of the state. And please, I mean to say, be positive. They said, okay, we will tell you tomorrow. That is on 9th. But again on 9th, they must have met, and they have not met me, but they have given me a kind of a representation, again stating that we demolished our everything. Let me tell you that they have also stated that some kind of unparliamentary language or something was used by some of the senior officers.
Yes.
I must state that Commissioner PWD, I must state, because let us be very transparent. The Commissioner PWD used the word extortion. He was, I mean, in his flow, and he was saying sons of the soil and this, that. Why are you indulging in this kind of a politics, in this kind of a, I mean to say, demand you are raising, which is not there? And this is some kind of an extortion. That is the only point which he made, word which he used. Everybody was up in the arms. But let me tell you, immediately, as Chief Secretary, I stated that I tender an apology, unconditional apology. I said that in the meeting, which they have stated. Even, I mean to say, the Commissioner PWD stated, the Development Commissioner Finance stated. Even then, if they are, I mean to say, writing in their representation, I think that's more than enough. And let me tell you, I reiterate, actually it is that kind of a demand only, extortionist demand. If the government is not able to bear this, how can they ask for it? And let me tell you, I with full due regards to the honorable courts, even the honorable courts also state, and that is why the other state governments are not giving. Arunachal Pradesh is not, I mean, having the best of, you see, financial kind of a position. When I joined here in 2014, now let me tell you, all of you know about this, that we were not getting the salaries even before 10th of the succeeding month. Even I, as Principal Secretary Labour and Employment, I think in several months, I mean to say maybe on 12th or 11th or maybe 8th, that is how I was getting the salary. Every time this particular government was only focusing as to how I will give the monthly salary. And I remember our learned and respected Chief Secretary that point of time, Mr. Negi Saab, he was also, I mean, thinking aloud and thinking all the time and making all kinds of adjustments. And the entire, I mean to say, the finance department was going into some kind of ways and means advance and overdraft. Every time there was an overdraft, which has a huge financial impact, by the way. This overdraft has a huge, I mean to say, interest rate which the government has to bear. And it's absolutely against any kind of financial prudence to go in for or to push the state government in ways and means advance and in the overdraft. Now this was also explained by DCF. Do you want that? Or else you want that once you retire, even the Commissioner of PWD stated that once you retire, will you think that you will not be even getting this pension? If the government does not have money, what will the government do? Now we are trying our best. We are trying to have some kind of a balance.
Sir, can you concise it because we are running out of time?
Sir, but this is all. So therefore what we have decided is, now I'll come because I've tried to explain everything. And also let me tell you that there are several other, I mean to say, things also which has been done by the government in respect of the teachers, in respect of the health, because we have given 3 assured career progression, I mean to say, to them also, 3 promotions. Everything, I mean to say, the government is considering and giving. I don't want to go into details, but this is all there. Let me tell you. So I just want to tell you that it is absolutely again pro-people, and the logo and the motto of the government is to act only and only and only in public interest and not in private interest. These employees are now coming in their own interest, self-interest. So therefore, the government cannot consider any more I mean to say, kind of extravaganza. And now the cabinet has decided the other, I mean to say, path also, and also the government has decided. So, my dear friends, this particular pen down strike has been declared as illegal. Has been declared as illegal, and as per Rule 7.2, I will quote, as per Rule 7.2 of CCS Conduct Rules 1964, act of any employee taking part in the pen/tool down strike shall be in gross contravention with CCS Conduct Rules, and such employees shall be liable for disciplinary proceedings under CCA rules and other relevant rules public act, including action as per section 188 of Penal Code 1860. So this is the rule, and this is the order which we are going to issue.
Supreme Court judgment, sir.
And there is a Supreme Court judgment also, and even the High Court judgments are there. So of course I am not going into that because you said that we are running out of time. But let me tell you that this has been declared illegal, and also the thing, I mean, there are 3 steps also which have been described, that anybody who is going in for the first day, of course, I mean to say, where is that? Yes, I'll just 1 minute, 1 second I'll take.
17.
17. Okay.
18.
Bas. Now I'll tell you, because this is what was decided. I've just because this order was only, I mean to say, now processed. So the first day they are going on strike, 1 day salary shall be deducted. First day they go on pen down strike. All the HODs are here. They are here. They have been called. They have been requested to come and witness this press conference. First day, anybody who is resorting to pen down strike, tool down strike, his salary of 1 day shall be deducted. No work, no pay is, I mean, say, the Supreme Court's judgment is everywhere it is a judgment. So therefore, resorting to that, first day it will be 1 day pay will be cut off. Second day, sir, I will just come to, because I'll just, second day, not penalty, but the dies non. The provision of dies non shall be imposed. Dies non meaning break in service.
Yes.
If the second day the employee is not coming, is coming to the office, signing, and even then not doing anything, then the provision of dies non, which is there in the rules, shall be imposed on him. And the third day, if he is again resorting to that, then he will be suspended, and major penalty proceedings shall be initiated forthwith. And extreme action shall be taken against him. All the HODs have been accordingly requested to ensure that this particular action, this particular, you see, the decision of the cabinet is implemented in case any employee resorts to pen down strike. So this is what is the government's decision, and we are not, I mean, so the government is not going to budge. The political will is totally there to give free, fair and efficient administration to the government, to the people of Arunachal Pradesh. You see, 3 days and then indefinite strike, somebody is going to the district headquarters. If he wants something, well, how can we say that, okay, we will not give? It's not possible. You see, we may have not achieved, I mean, say, excellence, total, topmost excellence in governance, but we are trying. Let me tell you, we are trying. And we will achieve that day. We will achieve that 1 day, we are going to achieve that also. Because it's the Team Arunachal, the entire efforts being put in by Team Arunachal. Who wants to be a part of Team Arunachal? Fair enough, you are welcome to do so. Come here with open arms. We, I mean to say, welcome you. Who doesn't want to become a part of Team Arunachal? Action shall be taken against them. Okay. The motto of Team Arunachal is, मैंने बार बार ये बात कही है, बस विकास की ओर विकास के पथ पर अग्रसर, हम पीछे नहीं हटने वाले। ये हर बार हमने अपने अगर स्पीच में कही है तो अपने इमोशनल होके ही कही है, और उसको कहीं ना कहीं हम लोगों ने, इस सरकार ने उसको करके भी दिखाया है। इतने सारे एक्शंस लिए हैं जो कभी नहीं लिए गए। तो हम आज की तारीख में अगर किसी को टीम अरुणाचल का हिस्सा बनना है तो मैं विथ फोल्डेड हैंड्स कहता हूं, आप आइए, हमारे साथ रहिए। लेकिन अगर नहीं बनना है, an agitational politics, an agitational kind of a thing, blackmailing, that will not be tolerated, should not be tolerated, come what may, it will not be tolerated.
Sir, I have only two questions, very small question. One is that what is the percentage of government employees as per the total population of Arunachal Pradesh? Number one. Second, what is the amount of government exchequer invested for the salary and other purposes of the employees?
Okay. The first, you put a very good, I must say, good questions. The first question I would only like to say that on record, it is about 70,000 plus. So somewhere or the other, it is between 70,000 to 1 lakh. So if you see about, if you say, take 1 lakh, so 1 lakh government employees vis-a-vis about 13.5 lakh people, out of which, let me tell you, 80-20. So obviously, if you take only the tribals, our fellow, our brother tribals, tribal brothers, then it will be about 7.5 lakhs or maybe 8 lakhs. So out of 8 lakhs, maybe 75,000 or 70,000 people. So that way you can calculate the proportion. That is one. I'm giving you a rough figure. Let me tell you, exact figure also we can give. So, but this is the rough figure. And secondly, regarding that, the money which is being spent, as you know that, I mean, hardly any money is being spent on the infrastructure. In fact, out of a total budget of maybe 14,000, 15,000 crore, now this time 18,000 crore, again if it will be reduced by 2,500 or something, if we achieve 16,500, 17,000, then out of this 17,000 also, let me tell you, not more than about 3,000 or 3,500 or at the most 4,000 rupees will be spent on infrastructure. Rest everything is being spent either on salaries or on wages or on OEOC or on repair and maintenance or like this only.
I'll add.
You're getting my point?
Yes.
So therefore, more than 60%, 70% of the funds, and that is also there in the, I mean to say, there's our audit objections. The audit is again and again pointing out. You see that unless and until you have some kind of a, you see, plan expenditure and on development infrastructure, you can't, I mean, say progress. You can't progress. We are trying, but we can't progress. We can't be put on the path of accelerated rate of inclusive growth and development unless and until we, I mean to say, increase this amount.
Sir, you mean to say that the employees number of, in terms of population and employees, government employees?
That is the maximum in India.
Nearly 8 to 9%.
But that is, if you see in India,
But
the
in
overall.
terms of money, you are investing 60% of the total budget.
That's right.
For the people of 9% only.
So
That is
that's
the
right.
ratio you want to say.
That's right. That's right. But I have also said that it's not only the salaries and wages, but also I said OEOC. OEOC means what? They are being spent on them only, no?
Yes.
Furniture, POL account, then medical, then all, I mean, it's all these things. And then apart from that, repair and maintenance. I've included everything. So if you include everything, that's a huge portion. That's the point, and that is all there on record. I'm not saying something which is not there on record. So therefore, I mean to say, if you take only, even the 15th Finance Commission was asking this question again and again.
So you mean to say that 8% employees is not taking care about around 90% people of this place?
Of course, I mean to say, this is not the point which I am saying. Let me tell you. The point is that if this particular government only, with this 8%, 9% or even 10% employees, because there is a floating population which you should exclude, by the way. All right? So it may be 10%. Now this 10%, if you see nowhere in India, there will be 10% of the total population, government employees will be there. You see anywhere in any state. All right? So therefore, the proportion is very, very high, especially in Arunachal. One in each family, or maybe one in each 2 families. If you take a family of 6 or 7, then out of 10, I mean to say, you can see one person is there in the government. So you have to see that way. You tell me, I mean to say, where in India you will find this kind of a position with status, wherein in each maybe 2 families, one is there in the government. Nowhere. So please, that is how you have to examine. And then secondly, There are so many things which are also being spent on them only. OEOC is what? They are all spent on them. What is there? I mean, the TADA, that is on them. Then what is there on this POL? That is on them. Everything, I mean, repair and maintenance, I mean, I would see. It's so much a huge kind of an amount. Then uniform allowance. Then so many things. All these things are there. Now, if you add everything, like police, we are giving uniform allowance. We are giving, I mean to say, ration allowance. To the doctors, we are giving non-practicing allowance. So many things are being given, no. So all these things combined together, I mean to say, for
1 second. Everything zeroes down to money. What is your purse? What is your government's purse? Please kindly clarify that, because you have been talking about money. What is the total cost the government has,
let me tell you,
which is spending on all these activities? What is the total income of the government of a particular? You can give it for 2017-18. Then only we can give a comparative statement.
let me tell you that if you see the budget, please read the budget also. If we have stated that it is more than 18,000, we have also stated that from which source we are going to get that revenue. All right. But it is all somewhat conjectures also, because we propose. So we have to achieve that also. But the most important, I mean to say, this revenue generation is from what? 14th Finance Commission's recommendations, which we are getting about 10,000 crore of rupees in the entire year. But let me tell you, this 10,000 is less than what was actually proposed in the 14th Finance Pay Commission's recommendations. So there is a gap there. But we will make our budget as per that, because that has been specified, that has been prescribed. So maybe there is a gap of maybe about 800, 900, about 1,000 crore there. Number one. Number two, about 4,000 crores also comes as centrally sponsored, under the centrally sponsored schemes. It's actually 4,200 or something which has been taken in this budget. Now 4,200 will come when? Only when all these employees will give the utilization certificates, will submit the proposals in time. Let me tell you, it was never being submitted. Last year also it was 3,700 crores, 3,600 some crores, and ultimately how much did we get? There was a gap of more than 1,000 crores. This year also, if these employees are not working, then what will happen? This 4,000, you see 4,200 crores, it will again be reduced by more than 1,000 or maybe 1,500 crores. And accordingly, there is a again a consequential kind of an impact on the total budget. Instead of 18,000, it will be reduced, it will shrink to 16,000, 15,000 or 17,000, despite all the efforts, despite everything, I mean to say, being made by the government. So you see, they have to actually, and then we come out to our internal resource generation, which of course has gone to about 1,500, 1,600 crores of rupees this year we have taken, and maybe we have taken about 1,800 something in this. So that is again, I mean to say, our internal resource generation, and then we have a market borrowing. And market borrowing is also about, that is 3.5% of the GSDP. So that comes to about 1,000 crore or something, 1,000 crore I suppose. So that is all. I mean, this is the resource envelope. And that is how, I mean to say, this 18,000 has been decided. And ultimately, out of these 18,000, if you see, I mean, it will all be spent on like this only, salaries, pay, this, that, everywhere. And again, I mean to say, now question is the other northeastern states, Assam, it's a huge state with a huge kind of a revenue, the huge resources, by the way. Even they have not given even the 7th Pay Commission recommended. How can you just leave aside the allowances? Allowances? Never.
Partially implemented.
Partially. The partial means what? Assam is a big state, my dear friend. But Assam is also partially implementing. We are implementing in toto at least the salaries. And even the allowances also we are trying to implement. You can't compare the two. Let me tell you, these are two incomparables. Because it has huge, I mean to say, budget. And we have a small budget of 18,000. So therefore, and leave aside the other, Tripura में तो 6th Pay Commission ही नहीं हुआ है. अब आप यहाँ पर इस तरीके से आप ये तो blackmail, आप ही लोग बताइए, सोचिए, it's only a food for thought. I mean, is this right? It is not right. It is not correct. And let us, I mean to say, again as team members of Team Arunachal, only put an end to this. Come what?